All right, everybody, welcome. It is sitting on 7 o'clock Wednesday night, and it is time for another episode of Conversations with Cougars. And I have a trivia question for you. You're going to know the answer, but here's the question. Name the very first Northview Cougar who was ever outfitted for a uniform at McKean Wilson with Coach Parrish. I'll give you a quick hint. It's my guest tonight, one of the OG Cougars, Renard Mills. Welcome, Renard. Thank you, my friend, for being here tonight. We're gonna have us a good conversation tonight.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, and I'm so glad that we've gotten to meet. And I love having conversations with Cougars from those first couple of years. And in fact, Renard is in 1978 he was in the first class of ninth graders, the first 4-year Cougars to graduate in 81. And just, there's so much to unpack here. But before we talk about growing up in Dothan and the good old days, I know that you've had just a remarkable career. And why don't you share just a little bit about what's going on with you these days, and then we'll hop back in our time machine and hit the old days.
Well, I'm here in outside of Atlanta in Riverdale, Georgia. I retired from the U.S. Navy and recently retired from the U.S. Post Office, and I'm just enjoying life with my family, and I have great friends, and God is good. God is good. I'm truly blessed. I'm also working in the ministry, and I'm just enjoying life. I really am. Traveling. Oh, went to culinary school in Italy, and I'm a certified chef, a personal chef, and I'm just enjoying life.
Well, the most important follow-up question is what time's dinner? Because it's going to take me a minute to get there, but I'm there. I'm there. What's your specialty? What do you enjoy preparing?
I really enjoy Italian. That's why I went to Italy, northern and southern Italy, to school, but I love cooking, and got about 1,000 cookbooks, and like my wife and kids would tell you, just tell me what you want.
Well, the beautiful thing is I love eating, so we are a good match. We're
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a minute, but in all sincerity, thank you for your service time with not only in the Navy but also with your postal service. And I know that you're happily retired from both of those, but we can't say thank you enough for what you've done for us.
Well, God bless you, and thank you for supporting us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for supporting us.
Well, the Navy. Oh yeah, this man played college football at Alabama A&M, and we're going to get to that too. But y'all didn't know we had a Renaissance man with us this evening, and he's probably busier now than he was when he was full-time employed. But it sounds like you're taking it all in and enjoying things. Now, children, grandchildren, what's the story there?
I'm applying pressure for the grandkids, but they told me to stop. And so we're just saving money. So when they get here, they're going to be spoiled. So I've got plans.
Where does your son live with his family?
He lives out in Seattle. And wow. My daughter's here. She's an educator. Mm-hmm. And we're just enjoying life, laughing and reminiscing, because I spoiled them also.
You've just hit on one of the key tenements of life, and that's the ability to enjoy family, to be able to laugh on a daily basis, and just to get the most out of every day.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you hadn't thought about it, I bet they've got some pretty good culinary schools in Seattle that may be calling your name sometime soon as well.
Yeah. You may be prophesying there. And yeah.
All
Yes.
right, let's pause where we are currently, and I want you to take us to the Baptist Bottom, your childhood and growing up in Dothan. Share with us a little bit about. I know you went to Girard. We're going to get to that time period, but even before that, what was life like as a kid in the Baptist Bottom, and just kind of getting through life as a youngster in Dothan?
For me, I had a good family, a great family. My mother, my father's family, my grandparents, for sure. I was raised in the church, and they instilled being a godly person, a man, and something that is stayed with me. I got a calling at an early age, and uh, growing up in Dothan, it was fun. Riding bikes with my friends, and also I love football. Oh my goodness! I remember my first Christmas or was a football and a kicking tee, and wow! And I was in elementary school. I played on the Montana Street Jets. James E. Thomas was our coach, and so I was a bigger kid, one of the bigger kids in the class, and he put me at center and tackle, and I fell in love with it. I did. Then I played for the Hawk Houston Boys Club, and we had two plays: dive right, dive left.
Well, I played for the IGA Redskins at the Hawk Houston. Who was your team?
I remember our jerseys were maroon and gold.
You might have played for the same team as me, just me a few years behind you. Because ours were the same colors as Florida State and then the Washington Redskins, and a little bit like Northview colors.
Yeah, exactly. They were the same colors. I wore 91. Playing center, we're 91. Yeah, okay.
Now, thinking back on those first teams, were there any guys on those teams who later became your teammates at Northview?
No, because Larry had moved to our neighborhood as of yet, and
I want to save him for a few minutes from now. We'll come back to him in a few minutes.
Okay.
But, so you got your first taste of football and knocking heads playing for Hawk Houston back in as a youngster, and then Montana Street, and then where did you go after Montana Street?
Montana, Girard.
Okay.
Girard. No, Girard Elementary, and then to Girard Middle School under Coach Hicks. Yes.
Little did you know that Coach Hicks and Coach Griffin would also be some of your Northview coaches a few years later.
Well, matter of fact, Coach Hicks introduced me to Coach Parrish.
Is that right?
And that's how Coach Parrish became my mentor, along with Coach Griffin and Coach Hicks. And to this day, I'm eternally grateful to Coach Hicks for allowing me to be his center. That wasn't a position for me, And as I understand it, one of the local sports reporters interviewed me one time. He said, "You're the first African American center to play in high school, in Dothan High School. I said, really? Yeah. And that took me, I didn't know that. And he said, even at Girard. And I was like, wow. But yes. And then later on, Coach Griffin and I had a conversation, and I learned about his history in athletics in Dothan. And he was a pioneer of the integration.
Yeah.
And like, wow. And what great coaches. Oh my goodness. I know we'll talk about that later.
We are, but I know you learned back in the day about Coach Hicks blocking for Coach Griffin at Dothan.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that a great history?
It is. It is. And how you can just tell they had a good relationship as friends, friendship. And when you told me the story, and I knew and I understood then where Coach Griffin and Coach Hicks was such great friends, and some brave individuals, for that.
I always played on the offense, so at Northview, so I wasn't coached by Coaches Hicks and Griffin, but I always appreciated the interaction between the two. I knew they knew each other from high school. I didn't know the history back then that I know now, but now it makes so much sense to me the way they communicated. They'd give each other a hard time, but they loved each other and they supported each other.
Yes.
But when you were at Girard, do you remember conversations starting to come around about a new high school that was going to be built, and that you weren't going to, where you lived, you weren't necessarily going to Dothan High, you'd be going to the new high school? Do you remember any of those talks before you actually ended up at Northview?
Well, I was told I was going Northview.
By your family or Coach Parrish? Or both?
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Coach Parrish, Coach Hicks. Like I told you, I met Coach Parrish. Coach Hicks introduced me to Coach Parrish. And Coach Hicks was going Northview. And conversations had been had, and okay, this is where you're going. All right. So I was there, excited.
Well, I was going to say, how exciting is that, or was that you're in the first year of a brand new, then 4A, later became 6A, big school, and you're part of that first ninth grade team or ninth grade class. I'm sure it was nerve wracking and exciting all in one.
Well, I was in the 10th grade because I finished ninth grade at Girard. That was the last year.
That's right. That was still a junior high. You're so right. I'm sorry.
Right. So I was in 10th grade, and it was exciting. I remember, like I said, Coach Parrish took me over and I was fitted, and we played practice in this muddy field outside of Riverview Stadium, and it was about 300 guys out there.
You're talking about that first spring training?
That first spring training.
Yeah, I've heard every single guy, coach, or player who's been on the show, they say the same thing. It was one of the hardest things they've ever done athletically. And there were literally hundreds of guys who came out. Not a lot stayed. I mean, some did, but it was very physically demanding and extremely wet and very hot.
Yes. And we got a heads up. We're gonna run some guys off.
Well, there wasn't enough equipment. Coach Parrish was probably borrowing equipment from all over town.
Right. Right. It was a hard fight. Boy, I wish we had cameras and video of that.
Man,
early
could you
days.
imagine what that looked like now? Wow.
Wow. And there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken place over there, and you so you had to deal with that. You're hungry, you're wet, it's miserable, and you got 300. I mean, a lot of guys. I'm exaggerating, but it was a lot of guys out there, and so I kept my eyes on the prize. I had some, some upperclassmen in front of me, and so you just hung in there. Just
Who,
hung in there.
who were some of those 10th graders who came over from Girard with you that started at ninth grade?
Danny Carmichael, the late great Danny Carmichael. Let's see, Mike Durden, the Patterson brothers, Kirk Patterson. Who's the wide receivers? They were twins. Larry. Oh my goodness.
Parker,
yeah. Let's see. Did Mike McKibben come from Dothan, or was he with us? John Kite.
What about Dwight Jones? Where did he come from?
Who's that?
Dwight Jones.
Oh yeah, Dwight Jones. Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, but no, I didn't forget about it. But yeah, he was there.
You said I think I spoke over you. Did you say Kershal Bird?
Kershal Bird. Well, John Kite, because he was with me at Girard for a while, and who else?
Man, you're naming some serious athletes right there.
Right, and Kershal Bird was out there though. Whaley.
Pie Whaley.
Yep. And oh my goodness.
Well, some more will come back to you in a minute. Guys, I've got Renard Mills. Renard's one of the OG Cougars who came over, and he was in that first spring practice over near Rip Hughes, and there was a cast of thousands who came out, and only a few survived it. The players of like Slim McDuffie, who's just joined us in the house tonight. We got a whole host of them here, Renard. Let me go through this, okay?
Okay.
We got Jason Mullins, class of 92. We got one of Dothan City Commissioners, Aristotle Onassis Kirkland, class of 87 in the house. Chuck Jackson, 87. DC Clark, 85. Coach Randy Hicks. Jerry Eileen Wright, who was she was Goldie, the mascot for us.
Wow.
Awesome. Coach Hicks said that Dwight actually came from Carver. Thank you, Coach, for reminding us.
Yeah.
Did you know you were going to play line, and it was just you were competing for spot on the offensive line? Was it at center, or had they moved you to some other spot to try out?
I was with Coach Hicks on the defense for a while, about third or fourth, fifth string, and and also with Coach Parrish. He was the O-line coach and head coach, and so I was there. They both worked me. We with Coach Hicks on D line, and then going into going into my junior year, I went to center full time.
What was the best part? What were you the strongest at doing on the line? Was it your feet, your hands, your quickness? What was your strength of your game?
My game was my quick feet. Coach Parrish put us on the jump rope, and that gave me quick feet. I was being recruited by some colleges, and they wanted me to work out or do something, and I did. He's like, "You got boxer's feet, real smooth, real, quick." And so in running that veer offense, you had to have quick feet, make that first 6-inch step, and step into it, and it was my quick feet. I wasn't the strongest, but we had that finesse type offense.
And who was quarterbacking for you at the time?
Oh, Mike Durden.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Durden. What was his name? He got benched. He opened up the season, but Gene.
Was it Gene Houston who ended up going to play
Yeah,
defense?
yeah, Gene Houston.
Who could knock your? They said he could knock your block off on defensive
Yes,
back.
he could. Yes, he could. He ran that option, but
well, it's tough to beat out Mike Durden, who ended up playing at Troy. He was tough.
Yeah, oh yeah, and Mike replaced Gene in that in that 10th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
His first year, Mike was baptized. You know.
Yeah, but he had the likes of you protecting him, so he was in a good spot.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but yeah. I want you to talk about, because we've already mentioned that you're the answer to the trivia question. I want you to take us to Coach Parrish getting you outfitted at McKean Wilson.
Had no idea that was going to happen. Coach Hicks, I mean, when Coach Hicks introduced me to Coach Parrish and I, Coach Hicks was a mentor to me also, but Coach Hicks was a mentor and like a father figure. Mm-hmm. My mom had passed away when I was 15, mm-hmm. and I was, I stuck with football. I knew that would keep me out of trouble, and plus they raised me not to be in the streets, not to get in trouble. So, and I love football, and also I was in the band in Girard. I kept myself busy like I do now.
A little bit.
And so Coach Parrish took me up on his wing. Mm-hmm. And we would ride around in this green pickup truck, and we were going to look at the field, mm-hmm. and look at things. And he took me over to the sport goods store and told the gentleman, "This is one of my players. We need to outfit him, get him ready, fit his helmet and everything." And Coach Parrish, he said, "All right, you the first player."
That had to have been exciting, though.
It was, and it was, I wasn't expecting it. It was a shock, mm-hmm. But I was, and I became a Northview Cougar. Didn't want anything to do Dothan High School. I'm a Northview Cougar.
Well, I was going to ask you, did you have family members older than you who had gone to Dothan High?
Oh yeah, of course, and also, I had relatives that went to the old Carver High School, mm-hmm. Before integration, and they mm-hmm. got rid of it. But yeah, I had church members, everyone, kids that I grew up that went to Dothan.
I was going to say, growing up playing rec ball before you came over to Northview, by the time you got to Northview, you're probably playing against old teammates or old competition from rec leagues.
Yeah, from Houston Boys Club. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Freddie Coleman mm-hmm. was a D lineman, mm-hmm. and one of my teammates from Hawk Houston, mm-hmm. and we worked out together. And when he invited me over to Dothan High School to work out with him, mm-hmm. and I remember the conditioning coach called Freddie out, said, "Hey," Freddie told me, lady said, "He goes to Northview. You can't have him over here working out, And I said, "Okay, well, come on, let's go over to Northview." Mm-hmm. It was competition, but we're in the same neighborhood. We're friends. We grew up together, And
yeah, but what about button heads on Friday night?
Oh, that was easy. There wasn't no love there. And then anyway, I came to realize, I said, "No, Freddie, you got to stay over here at Dothan. Mm-hmm. Hi, you're a Tiger, I'm a Cougar." No, And we played against in JV,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I no, oh no, I'm a Cougar for life.
Oh, there's no doubting, no questioning your loyalties.
Yeah,
But I just can try to imagine. We'll call you a first generation Cougar,
right.
particularly from your family, when everybody else, like my dad went to Dothan High and played football for him. But
Yeah.
when his sons were coming through Northview, there was no question. He was rooting for Northview.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My relatives. Oh, they were Northview Cougars also, and
Mm-hmm.
supported me uh very much, and with love and support. Just whatever I needed, whatever they could do, and they a lot of times people don't say stuff until later on in life, but they just were so proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing when I graduated, the love and the things that they gave me, and just told me,
Mm-hmm.
when I did graduate from Northview, how proud they were of me and making something of myself. And uh, it was amazing at Northview because I worked in the lunchroom also,
Mm-hmm.
and my people had instilled in me
Mm-hmm.
uh, to serve the community. How different parents would want me to talk to their young sons,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and that was always impressive. And the coaches always reminded me that people are watching you, Renard, and you know, you're setting an example.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right, truth time. What's your record number of rectangle pieces of pizza consumed in one lunch period?
oh my goodness,
You don't have to answer that.
I can't. I won't. I won't
For a
because we
dollar and
can
a
put it
quarter, you can
away.
get a rectangle piece of pizza. You could get some nasty French fries and a pink lemonade at Northview back in the day.
Oh wow.
All right, next trivia question. Who drove a 1968 Impala to school and had one future NFL lineman as his carpool mate? And who was that carpool mate? Go ahead, you can talk about it now.
Uh, the late great Larry Roberts, my friend, my dear friend. Yeah. Remember he and I putting our coins together to put $2 in the tank. He and I uh going down after practice buying Gatorades, putting our monies together to get 4 Gatorades for $1. And
Did
uh
y'all go across the highway to Fireballs or did you go somewhere else?
uh it was a Winn Dixie or Piggly Wiggly down by the Kmart.
Okay.
And
Okay, you were on the way home. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And we that was my dear friend, my brother from another mother. And
How far away did he live from your family, from you?
maybe about, I would say, a half a mile
Mm-hmm.
or so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would get up and hope the car start, and we go pick him up. We head to Northview.
And those
And
first couple of years, when he's in ninth and 10th grade, it was known he was becoming an athlete and he was somebody to watch. But I mean, he was your buddy, he was your friend. But at that time, did you have any idea the trajectory, Alabama, 49ers, and the like that would be coming his way? Could you see it as one of his closest buddies, or you really just didn't think about that at the time?
uh, I saw it my senior year, his junior year.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Now, he was naturally strong.
Mm-hmm.
He and Danny Carmichael got in a when we had weightlifting competitions,
Mhm.
and Larry hated to work out. I did too. But anyway, with the weights, and he was naturally strong. Danny would lift, say, 375. Larry would say, put 5 more in and do 280 or 380, whatever it was. And but he didn't work. He didn't work out.
Could you imagine had he had back then had a strong workout regiment program? I mean,
Oh
I know
my
it was
goodness.
becoming a thing. I know that, but it was nothing like it, became years and
Right.
years later.
Right. That was, at Northview was our first introduction
Mm-hmm.
to weights
Mm-hmm.
and lifting weights. And so he was naturally strong. And that's what, 6'5". He was quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw it in the June my senior year,
Mm-hmm.
and them going into spring training. I was still there,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Coach Parrish, you got a championship team here. You got the marks of I knew they were going to be winners. I knew the state championship, if not that year, it was close. And then it just clicked. All of them came together. Kershaw, uh, Coach Griffin and his DBs and the D line and that offense. Coach Parrish put in a new offense that spring.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not going to tell y'all where he got it from. I sort of gave it to him. But anyway.
But one, you were born a year too soon. Had if you might should have. I don't know if they called it redshirting in high school, but I'm sure you'd have loved to have been on that '81 team. But I want you to think about this, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Had you guys not set the tone in '79 and '80 and built that foundation, that '81 team would not have done what it did.
Oh, no. I believe that Coach Parrish, Coach Hicks, Coach Bubble, Coach Griffin, and all our coaches
Mm-hmm.
From day one, back to that muddy field,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Parrish set a standard.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Parrish set a standard. And I tell people, when I tell them about my high school and my experience, I said, in a way, I'm like a grandchild of Coach Bryant because of Coach Parrish
Mm-hmm.
and what he learned at the University of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Parrish, Coach Hicks, and all the coaches, again, they set a standard. And that even followed me to Alabama A&M.
Mm-hmm. Let's
Firing off the ball, being on that plane of blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Renard, let's back away from football for just a minute.
Okay.
You get to a brand new school, and it's built like a junior college. I mean, it is a large property.
Yes.
I want you to share a little bit about school spirit and the teachers and what it was like just walking around campus that first year or two, because it had to have been exciting, not just from a football standpoint, but just from a new school standpoint.
Oh, yes. Brand new school, everything new. And not only going back to the football,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Parrish and I, again, had him in the green truck. We built that field, that practice field.
Mm-hmm.
He and I, on that practice field, spreading sand and working that field. Mm-hmm. So I was there in the beginning of that with him and going through the building of the gym and everything and walking, seeing the whole process. And we had great teachers. Miss Linda Daughtry. She was my teacher at Girard, a science teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She took me under her wings and guided me. Miss Ramona Cleveland. Miss Hemby in accounting.
Mm-hmm.
All the lunchroom ladies made sure I was taken care of. And, you know, it
No doubt.
was a family. Dr. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
It was a family. They took care of each other. Being in the Future Business Leaders of America, the History Club, and all those organizations. When I say Northview was my home, it was my home. It was my home. And I don't know why I didn't go to education to become a coach, but anyway, Northview was home. And it is still home. I wept when I passed by this last time I went home, and I didn't know it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
I literally wept. And I went to the field and I said, this is Northview. It will forever be that for me. But it was so exciting coming to a new school, everything new. I remember when they painted that mural of the Cougar in the gym, and our pep rallies were awesome.
That's where I want you to take us. I want you to take us to a Friday of a home game day.
Okay.
What was it like walking around campus before pep rally, going to the pep rally? Take us through a routine of a day going up before you went over to Rip Hughes. How exciting those times.
It was exciting getting up in the morning and getting your Northview polo shirt. We wore our polos during the day, and then we would change into our jerseys for the pep rally. And for me, it was serious. It was all business. It was business because we had went through the week, and they prepared us for whoever we were going to play. I remember Coach Bubba Johnson would run the scout defense, and he would, when he said, "That's it," we showed them everything they could possibly do, and we were ready. We were ready. It was just a matter of getting to the stadium and finishing it. But I loved the pep rallies, and we would leave about 2:30, going to the movies, and we would watch the movie, and then we would go over to the Sizzler for steak and potatoes. And after we had the pregame meal, we would go back to the gym, back to the school. And I remember how quiet it was. How quiet, and everybody was business. Everyone. It was about business. And we would get dressed and we would go to the stadium. And this was one thing I did. I didn't say that much or do it, during the week. And but when we would turn this corner, going to Rip Hughes Stadium, and you could see the lights see the lights of the stadium, and something in me would just come up, and I would get fired up. And I was like, "Oh, they showed up. It's time to go. It's time to go, fellas. The lights are on." And then we would pull up, and we would see the other school buses, and I really got excited. I said, "Oh, they showed up. They showed up to take this butt whooping. Come on, let's go."
Well,
let's go. I'm getting fired up now.
I'm gonna try and jog your memory a little bit. That fall of '78, which I think would have been your 10th grade year. Y'all go 6-4. Very first game in Northview history.
Yeah.
You're in Ozark and you beat the snot out of them 35-12.
Right.
First home game in Northview history is the next week, and you take care of Prattville 14-9.
Yeah.
And you guys go on to have, and back then the Dothan Northview game was in the middle of the year for some reason. It wasn't moved
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
later, but you beat Dothan 10-7 that year. But it's the next year, your junior year, that was such an outstanding team. Y'all went 9-2 on the season, and the defense only gave up 98 points the whole year.
Oh yeah. Yes.
That, and then in 1980, you guys go 7-3, I believe.
Right. My year,
Your
senior
senior
year.
year.
Yeah.
So you conclude your career and graduate, and now it's time to move to the next phase in life. But before you graduated, at what point, Renard, did you seriously consider that college football was going to be in your future? Was that during
Uh,
your senior year, or did it begin percolating and showing interest your junior year?
my junior year, and when but also my 10th grade year, and being coached by Coach Parrish,
Mm-hmm.
and being coached up. And he told me, he said, Renard, you can get a scholarship. And when he planted that, he planted a seed in me then when he spoke those words. Renard, you can get a scholarship playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep working at it.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always say, do what I tell you to do. Do what I tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Dadgummit.
Dadgummit, Sam Hill.
Sam Hill.
Never met Mr. Hill, but I sure heard his name a lot.
Exactly. Dadgummit. And I listened to it. And I put my trust in him, believed, and because in my 10th grade year, I had two great starters in front of me at center. Mm-hmm. And like I said, on defense, I was third, fourth string. But when he told me that my junior year, he said, keep your grades up. And then going into my senior year, he told me, he said, I'm getting phone calls from different schools asking about you. Mm-hmm. And I said, really? He said, yep. And so it really kicked in. And then Miss Daughtry, my biology teacher, science teacher, she challenged me more academically. And she said, you're going to college. And she's a UA grad, University of Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I remember she gave me a test that was different from my other classmates. And it was like, whoa. And she told me, she said, this is what it's going to be like. This is what it's going to like. You're going to face, And she challenged me. My English teachers challenged me. Miss Hemby, oh my goodness, in business. And Coach Griffin, he taught business mm-hmm. classes.
Yeah.
So I was challenged. And
well, how did you end up in Huntsville at Alabama A&M?
It's a beautiful story about that. And I didn't have any clue until I found out about it. Several African-American alumni from different HBCUs, different colleges, mm-hmm. personally, out of their pockets, took me to their universities to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at Northview, and they called for me to come down to the office. And there was a coach there, Fred Solomon. He said, I'm from A&M. I said, oh, Florida A&M? He said, no, Alabama A&M. He said, we want you to, I'm here to recruit you. And we want you to come up and visit. And I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like home. It was home. I mean, it was nothing phony. But here's the beauty in the story. I didn't know this until my mother's best friend, who lives in Alabama, who is the bishop's wife of the Church of God in Christ in Alabama. Mm-hmm. She and my mom were best friends. And my mom never told me. She went to Alabama A&M. So her best friend, I didn't believe. She told me, but she took me down in the archives at A&M, got their class yearbook, mm-hmm. opened it up, and she pointed. She said, who is that? Mm-hmm. And it was my mother.
And you didn't really
She never talked about it. I remember going to an HBCU football games, and mm-hmm. I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember this was my school. She was talking to the adults. Adults didn't talk to kids.
Right. Right.
And but I was there at A&M, and I had made it.
When you found out that your mom had gone there, mm-hmm. how did that impact you? Was that just the coolest thing?
It was, and I wept. I literally shed a tear. And her, her friend that showed me, we both sit there and cried. She said, I don't know why she didn't tell you. We had a great time up here. We were best buddies, and mm-hmm. And then I found out other alumni that remembered her. They came to me at A&M mm-hmm. and told me all about her. And but it was, as I look back on her, I guess her spirit or whatever was there. And I just said, this was home. It was something about A&M. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with it. And then when I found that out, I said, thank you, Mom.
Wow.
Thank you.
You had guidance from Mom and didn't even realize that it just was
right
there. Well,
and I became a member of the Student Government Association, president of my hall. The football coaches allowed me to participate mm-hmm. in student athletes, student government, mm-hmm. and different things. And so it became home. And so I'm a bulldog for life. And I just been blessed. I really have. I've been blessed from on up, especially after she passed away. People have really blessed me, and that's why I'm eternally grateful to Coach Hicks, because that's when I went into organized football. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have to. But and as I found out later on, they encouraged some sharp criticism, but I didn't find this out till I was grown and gone. And so I'm eternally grateful. I love Dothan. I really do. And it made me the man who I am, and from a social, religious, all areas. and my love for food.
You've mentioned so many coaches and teammates that you speak so highly and kindly of who've helped you along the way. And I know you know this. For any successful person, they don't do it by themselves.
No,
They
no.
have help along the way because those folks who are part of our lives want to see us succeed.
Yes.
And you give back as much as you receive.
Oh,
And
yes.
and that's just all part of the big picture and just being part of others' lives. But and we're a couple of minutes from being done, but I'm not I want to be respectful of your time. I could talk with you for the next 6 hours and we wouldn't get finished with all that I want to talk about. But you go from Alabama A&M into the Navy, from the Navy into the Postal Service, culinary, etc. And ministry. I didn't mean to forget that. But along the way, I suspect there's some lessons in there that were set as a foundation for you from the likes of Coaches Parrish, Mrs. Daughtry, Coach Hicks, just those formative years growing up in Dothan. And if I'm a young athlete just coming up and I want to learn from those who've been before me, what would be some things, Renard, that you'd share that from a life lessons standpoint that you learned either from those coaches and teachers or from others just along your journey?
I'd like to share a true story that happened. My daughter was on the local recreation cheerleader team,
Mm-hmm.
and they won the grand championship in their cheerleading competition for our county, the grand championship. And we were getting ready to disperse and go up about our separate ways. And I remembered about the boosters, the men and women that supported us
Mm-hmm.
at Northview, paid for everything, did everything for it. It was the boosters.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls getting ready to leave. And I said, no, we can't let these girls leave. We got to celebrate them. We have to celebrate them. And long story short, I stood up and I said, we're all going to Golden Corral. And the parents, a lot of them said, well, how's she going to get home or what? I said, you know what? I looked at my wife. I said, me and my wife, we're going to pay for everybody that's associated with this squad,
Mm-hmm.
siblings and all, to
Mm-hmm.
go to Golden Corral. And it reminded me of all the support and love that they celebrated us.
Mm-hmm.
Back then at Northview, Girard, all those men of the community and women of the community celebrated us, put up their own money. And I couldn't let these girls go without being celebrated. Have a banquet, if you will, at this moment. They won the grand championship, beat everybody, 30-something teams.
Wow.
In a 2-day competition. And those girls to this day, they're still around, a lot of them, and the coach. She said they still talk about that. And Bernard, every age group, the second year, won their grand championship.
Wow.
And the girls started cheering and chanting, Golden Corral, Golden Corral.
Oh, that's awesome.
We did it again. And everywhere I go, I give back. And I remember my upbringing, the Coach Hicks, the Coach Parishes, the men and women, my teachers, my preachers. everyone that has blessed me, I give back. And I bless, and also I had the opportunity to coach on little league levels everywhere I've been, in the military and everywhere. I coached the offensive line. And so I've truly been blessed, Bernard. And I thank God for, especially that point in my life, from Gerard all the way up to Alabama A&M, Northview. And I'm just grateful. And I want to thank Dothan for investing in me, and thank the Lord that I can give back.
And frankly, you've done so in spades. And I'm kicking myself that, one, you and I hadn't crossed paths until recently, and two, why I didn't get you on the show 3 years ago. So
everything in due time.
It does. You're so right.
Everything in due time.
Renard, I want to thank you for sharing your journey with us. I want to thank you for just who you've been all these years, because you've blessed a lot of people with your presence, with your kindness, with your thoughtfulness. And I know it's because folks have shown that to you over the years.
Yes.
And that's what it's about. It truly is. And I'm just so glad that you're a Cougar. I'm so glad that you and I have the same alma mater. And I'm just so thankful that we were here tonight together. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
And you guys question why we do these conversations each week. It's beautiful conversations like this, that these are the stories that need to be told. And we're telling the history of Northview Cougars football program and the school, and we get into the city a little bit. And I'm hoping that more Cougars, young and old, will join me on Wednesday night. So you guys keep coming back to our Facebook group, and just let me hear from you. Anybody else who wants to participate. But again, Renard, one of the OG Cougars, the first Cougar to ever be outfitted for his football uniform. Awesome.
Yes.
Guys, have a blessed week. Have a good night.
All right. God bless.